How old is your son?
13. I don't know why my headset's not connecting. That is weird. Let's see.
All right, we're going to give everyone a few minutes to join. Got Asher Leids here today to talk about some angel investing. Very excited.
Just going to take these off because don't seem to be making a difference.
Yeah, no worries. You're coming in fine, so.
Okay. I'll have to figure that out later.
Got some people rolling in. Just give us, we'll give everyone a couple minutes to get all set up and ready to go. Asher, while we are waiting, remind us where you're quarantined and how are you holding up so far?
Well, I'm quarantined in a suburb of Los Angeles, California, an area called Calabasas.
Sure.
So we're holding up fine. It's lucky. I have my wife, 2 kids, so holding up rather well, luckily for us. So not too bad. Hopefully everyone else out there is holding up pretty well as well. We haven't had too many bad adventures here so far. We at least I have young boys, 13 and 10, that still live with me. I have 2 older sons that are out of the house. So they're both grown and on their own. So holding up pretty well for them. One casualty, 1 kid got laid off. So I think for a lot of people.
Crazy times. I was I think there's definitely a conversation here around kind of what you're exploring from an economic perspective and what your thoughts are there. So I'll get to that a bit later. But yeah, I'm also curious, like, how is your, it seems like your profession is angel investing. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it kind of fell into it through a circuitous route. A little bit of my history, I guess. I was a venture capital securities M&A attorney, and I did a lot of work in that regard. And my career got ended because of a very serious accident I was in. I was rear-ended by a drunk driver at over 70 miles an hour, which caused me to have, at the end of the day, permanent spinal and nerve damage, and to live my life in severe pain after having 10 spinal surgeries and multiple other spinal procedures. So at the end of having the 10th surgery, when they wanted to do the 11th, my wife and I looked at each other and said, 10 failed spinal surgeries, and wanted to know the number 11. There's a word for that. We kind of looked at it and said, Albert Einstein, I think, coined that word. It's called insanity. It's doing the same thing and expecting a different result. There's got to be a better way. And what's the better way? And we had to figure out how to find it. And we sat down and said, well, what can we do to try and do something that's going to help me both get a solution and to not live in such agonizing pain. And we said the venture capital community, startups, they work on the innovations. So start looking there. Instead, no one's going to knock on our door and say we have a solution. Doctors don't know about it. It doesn't get, by the time it gets to them, it's too late. Surgeon, they don't know. So we said, let's do that. That's what my background was. I was a venture capital attorney. So start in that community.
That's, that is a pretty fascinating story. So just to make sure I have the timelines right, you got in your accident, you had your surgeries, nothing really worked. And then you were searching for a solution and you said, startups and tech are the only thing that's going to get me out of this scenario. I want to go deep into this field, and I'm going to move most of my time, energy, and effort from a work perspective to working with startups. Is that right?
Right. Well, it's not. Yeah. It's not necessarily in a work perspective kind of thing. It's just more in a.
Sure. Yeah.
It's in a. I gotta. When you're in this realm of of being as I live in over a 9 pain level every day of my life. I have severe neuropathy and myelopathy. So, I mean, I can barely use my hands. They're basically almost like claws. I can need to walk. If I want to walk, I need to use crutches. I can't stand if I'll fall down if I don't have crutches. Uh, my life it's severely impacted by this injury. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a solution has to be found for me. To change my quality of life. Not particularly not even maybe even not now, but certainly by the time I hit my 70s. Thank God I still have some time for that. Um, because by then, and your age is really going to, be a big detractor to these kinds of symptoms.
Mm.
So something's got to be done by then. So
Right.
I can do to help,
So
facilitate that will be better.
that's great. Yeah. So when you started investing, did you strictly focus on healthcare startup investing?
So certainly that was the initial plan. Interestingly enough, was let's look at the healthcare field, but what kind of happens, and I know you guys focus on a particular field, but
Mm-hmm.
what was happened to me was, and that wasn't I didn't have really a plan in that sense. I mean that other than let's look for this, but since I didn't have other people's money, that I had a commitment to. uh, Opportunities come your way when you're just out there.
Sure.
When you put your things out there, you go through your network that you had, and you say we're looking, but you come across other opportunities. And since you can be opportunistic, then you say, wow, I came across a company called Thrive Market rather early
Mm-hmm.
in doing
I'm a
this.
customer.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully, for a lot of other people out there
Yeah.
who don't know about it, by the way, in case you don't, it's a company that delivers groceries basically to you, and the company, and it's the kind of stuff they deliver is organic, vegan, paleo, and gluten-free products, and uh, so products and foods at 25 to 50% off retail prices. So
Yeah.
good savings and healthy foods and products to your door. It's just not immediate. It's delivered within a period of time, and unfortunately, because of coronavirus now, delivery times are more delayed.
Sure. Right.
Um, but again, for people who not wanting to go out, certainly take a look, and it's on the Costco meets a Whole Food on the internet kind of model. Um, but yeah, we came across that very early, and I was like, and my wife and I had been trying delivery even back then, because again, my situation, my wife having to deal with me, we had younger kids at the time, so we were looking for solutions just to alleviate her shopping and all that, and we were trying to get things delivered.
Yeah.
It's
Convenience. Yeah.
10 years, more than 10 years ago, but we were always having a problem with things delivered, and then there'd be somebody wouldn't be home, or I'd be in the hospital, she'd be dealing with kids, and by the time she'd get home, some stuff would be spoiled. And we were looking for, and we always had these issues. And when we came across Thrive at the time, when they were only delivering um, pantry goods, we're like, well, they solved a part of the delivery problem. Only deliver stuff that doesn't spoil.
Yeah.
That made sense to us right away. And healthy, not healthy pantry delivery. Uh, back then, back when we found them, made a lot of sense. We're like, wow, that they at least solve some part of that piece. So we're like, well, sure, we'll invest.
That's really neat. That's a that is a neat. I mean, it sounds like it was definitely solving a specific problem for you.
Right.
So yeah. So you decided to start. You wanted to get into the startup world. You saw a path through venture investing because of your background as an M&A attorney and as a securities attorney. Um, and just catch us up to speed. How many angel investments have you made today?
About 45.
45. And what can you give us some like notable highlights? So you mentioned Thrive Market. Can you kind of share a little bit about some of the other companies in your portfolio?
Um, Yeah, it was probably wouldn't have got my angel list thing up here, but I neglected to get to do that. Now this is off the top of my head here. Um, a company called Janu, which is also for today's environment. They design, manufacture, and deliver designer antimicrobial scrubs. So for today's environment, they actually just went through just did a whole redesign, and now they're doing antimicrobial masks. So, and they're doing a product thing. So if people have any ideas, they're now doing for every scrub that people purchase, they're donating one mask to a charity that can help with for first responders
Very neat.
as well. So that's a very cool. And then for antimicrobial product, for the antimicrobial aspect of what they do, which will help with MRSA and all the other diseases that hospitals deal with and medical offices deal with to try to maintain disease control. Which, well, again, my wife having been, and again, this came from a first-hand experience I had with one of my first surgeries. I was on the gurney and I saw a nurse walk in with a stain on her scrubs. And I'm thinking, my God, I'm walking into the surgery and she just had breakfast. I'm thinking, what if that touches my open wound as I'm kind of going out in the ether, because I'm just being given the anesthesia, and I'm thinking, like, this is not good. Like, I'm not very happy about this. And I always remember thinking that there's a problem there that somebody needs to fix. And when somebody came out with antimicrobial scrubs, I thought, well, that makes sense. Like, why is that not even mandated, as opposed to, well, why are scrubs not? There's something that hadn't changed in forever, and why are antimicrobial scrubs a mandated thing since it can be done today? And I went out and found a company that's doing that.
So you went out and researched this after you kind of noticed this problem and found this company.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
Found someone to do. I mean, again, it solved the solution because I was having these medical procedures and was, saying it needs to be solved.
Right. So one of the so you have over 40 investments now, and I think for some of the listeners, I've definitely had questions from people who are trying to get more active with angel investing and get started. I'm curious, like, how you started sourcing deals. So it sounds like you went out and researched different markets that you were interested in, different problems that you had, and you found them on your own. When you set out, did you have a strict thesis that you were communicating to a network and did you ask them to pass you deals, or were you purely doing your own sourcing?
Well, I mean, I had been a venture capital attorney, securities attorney in my history. So I had already had a network from that, people I'd known for that period. So when I just did this, I just reached back out to that network. People who in these people's careers had now advanced as well, so which helped, so I reactivated some of that. And then you just start putting kind of the word out to people, and the internet's a good thing nowadays, especially it helps you do things, and you kind of as the good things, I have a lot of doctor's appointments, unfortunately, and sometimes on the west. I live in an area called Calabasas. My doctors are all on the west side of Los Angeles. So since I had to be on the west side anyway, they're all there's always going to be an event on the west side. So I'm there anyway. So I just would attend something, just schedule the event and the doctor's appointment at the same time, and and network that way as well. I had to be there anyway. So like you say, kill two birds with one stone.
So I don't know. We talked a little bit about this, but we wanted to discuss. It's kind of our thesis at Shadow that angel investing is a great way for people who are new to it to lose money. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to get started. If you don't know the business, it can be, just very easy to see a lot of deals that you like. And, um, entrepreneurs are oftentimes great salespeople. And yeah, it's very easy to just write a ton of checks and potentially watch a lot of those checks not matriculate into liquidation events. So we titled this conversation "The Pitfalls of Angel Investing." So through just this to kick this off, through your 45 investments, what are some of the pitfalls that you would want to convey to someone who is new to angel investing or is wanting to go deeper and actually make this a profession?
Well, I'm originally from New York, so I don't know, I think that's luckily for me, and particularly the era I grew up with. I have a very good bullshit meter, for lack of a better word. Uh, so I was lucky in that respect, and lets me cut through a lot of that with entrepreneurs. You get to learn, and I've already had that experience, so it helps. I have 45 investments. Of those 45, um, I think only 3 companies are no longer in existence. Um, over this 7 year period. So it's a pretty good batting average. Um, that being said, I have no exits yet either. Well, stock market is well, not negative. I think doing fairly well. Uh, and a few others that I know, that are doing well, just not exited yet. So, um, I think you really have to know how to measure people, and just as when it's true when you're investing, you're investing in teams, and
Mhm.
you're investing in people. And if you don't know how to read people, then don't be investing. Then it's very difficult to do angel investing. It's a very different skill set than investing in the stock market.
Yeah.
In the stock market, you're investing in numbers. In angel investing, you're investing in people. So they are two, in that sense. That's where they are two very different skill sets.
I love that. I love that comparison. I know some of your background on your AngelList page. I think you list your favorite business book, Security Analysis, um,
Yeah,
Benjamin
yeah,
Graham, and
yeah.
some of those guys. And so it seems like you have a background studying the numbers, and now you've moved to angel investing, which is a very qualitative way to look at a deal. How do you blend the two together? Is it possible to use math as a way to assess a really early stage deal? Typically, from a venture perspective, from Shadow's end, like when we're looking at a seed deal, we're usually qualifying a couple things. One, market size. We have to validate that there's a real market there. Team, as you mentioned, and then we also look pretty deeply at the defensibility of the tech product. So we're not typically going to invest, and this is unique to us, but we're not going to invest in a light tech-enabled service, something that can be easily built over a couple weekends, and really just takes a brand and a lot of sales and marketing effort to go to market. We like to bet on something that's going to be a little bit harder to build. But with those 3 categories, my original question: how do you, from an angel investment perspective, ground your decisioning in math, or is that even possible?
Um, so I think it actually is very possible. Um, and I think the two fit together very well. And I think you kind of hit on it. You have to take what the company is doing, and you got to take it. But you do it in this way. You take what there's always in generally whatever a private company is doing, there is some type of public company that's doing a somewhat similar, if not a similar thing. And so you have to look at what the potential exit for this private company would look like. So you take the private company, then you look at what the public company exit would look like, and then you do the numbers on the public company exit. So you value that, public company exit that way, and then you just do the discount down back to today's present value.
So you use the public companies as a comparable in that instance.
Exactly.
Is it so how often do you do that when you look at a deal?
Well, only when you get serious. Because I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to. You have to get to the point where you're looking at an investment. To me, to start doing that kind of analysis, you have to get through the other filters. That the team is right, the timing is right, and things like that. The market size, a lot of other factors before I'm going to then start delving into the numbers aspect of it.
Right. So okay, so you when you look at an angel deal, you've kind of said like team and people are the most important qualities that you look for. What are signs and what are signals of someone that you want to make an investment in, a startup or a founder that you want to make a bet on?
So this is the difficult part. This is very difficult to quantify, and I wish there was a great way to quantify it. The way I look at it, and my best quantifiable way of saying it is not that I was ever in the military, but you kind of look at it as, is this the person you would love to follow into battle? And if if this is somebody you would be gung ho to follow into the worst battle in there be, then sure I would want to bet on this person. So you use that imagination of yours to say, my God, I would follow this person anywhere into the battlefield. And if you can imagine that, then bet on it.
So using your investment in Thrive Market as an example, what did you see in the founder when you met him that made you want to follow him in the battle? Like, how do you, for all the founders out there, like my bigger question is, how do you convey that to a potential investor that like, I am the type of person that you want to go to battle with?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, how do it's and then in other words, so another way to say it, it's kind of it's it factor. Do you have the it factor? So are you born with it or can you learn it? I don't. I'm not that smart to have the answer to that question, so I don't know. I don't. Is it? Some people are born with it. Can some people learn it? Yeah, hard to say. So I there's certain qualities some people possess that you can just sort of say that whether they're going to be successful in this endeavor or maybe not this one but maybe the next one, that I'd be willing to make a reasoned a reasoned bet that they're going to succeed here, but certainly if they're not going to succeed here, they'll learn enough that they'll succeed the next time. So you're never going to wager everything anyway, but you're going to make a reasoned calculation that they have a reasonable chance of success on what they're going to try to accomplish with this. But whatever they don't do this time, if they don't do it this time, they have a chance of next time. And that's kind of how you make the calculations on a person. Then particularly, then the team they put around them help them achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So can you walk us through your diligence process and how you think about first meeting to when you write a check?
Well, I'll tell you, so usually you meet them. I mean, they come in so many different ways. But so you sit down. Generally with the founders, and depending on how many company has, you generally like to have a very casual meeting with them just to get to kind of know the founders. Then like to come out, so that'd be the first meeting. Then I'd like to get the information, do a little due diligence, go back in, meet their whatever team that they've for a second meeting, meet the team that they've hired around them to go build out what they're doing, uh, build out, get the due diligence. I have a number of people I utilize to help me with due diligence information that I have in my network, specific functions that can help me with different types of things. So I won't go through, but which everybody should. But in that sense, everybody should build out
Hmm. Hmm.
expertise. No one has expertise in everything.
For sure. So
Everybody,
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're building out a support network for diligence, what functional roles are you looking to fill?
Well, so no one's no so know what you're good at,
Hmm.
one, and then to the extent you can, you know, get people that can help you do the other thing. So if you're not a really good math person, if you're not a good numbers person, get somebody that can help you do the forecasting.
Yeah.
They're going to give you, um, the company's going to give you their projections. Well, get somebody to come in and help you. These, do these, forecasts really make any sense given the other stuff that's been presented to you? So get somebody else to take a look at that for you if you're not really good at it.
Yeah.
So bring in, whether it's an accountant, somebody that's an actual, and anybody who's good, basically in mathematics and projections and that kind of stuff. Get somebody that knows that and can help you with that if that's not a skill set you have. If you're doing something in the hard sciences and you love biotech, but the reality is you're not. That's not really in the sense of that's not your background per se. Then you should get somebody that part of your team that has that hard science that's involved that can actually do the due diligence within whatever it is that you're looking at
Hmm.
to make sure that what you're potentially investing in actually makes sense. I mean, you don't want to be investing in Theranos, for instance, because apparently didn't make any sense. So, for lack of a better example. So, I mean, when you're investing in a science company, I mean, that is a good, I mean, sadly is a good example. You had people who unfortunately were investing in something they didn't really understand and didn't take the time to go get the right people to do the due diligence that was necessary to
Hmm.
say this makes sense.
Yeah.
None of the real investors there were science people. That wasn't their core competency. So they didn't go and get people that were science people to say, does being able to run all these tests on one drop of blood really make sense? Is it doable with the science that we have available to us today? And then go further and say, okay, yeah, and then at least make sure this the machine that they're saying they have actually can do what you're doing.
Mm.
So ask the right question. Be able to then go and be able to ask the right questions. So there's a great example.
Yeah, we look at this a lot from obviously we don't play in the biotech field, but we're technology investors, right? I mean, traditional venture capital, like we're looking at code, we're looking at product, and so from our perspective, like, so we have a full-time CTO on our team, still writes code every day, has managed dev teams, kind of knows what it takes to build a great dev team with a great vision. And we look at at other firms around the space, and if you don't, I mean, it's very common to see venture capital firms who just have ex MBAs, don't understand the computer science element to it, to building a defensible solution, and we kind of look at those firms and wonder how they accomplish the level of diligence that's required to do a typical technology deal. So that's one of the things that we see. I'm curious. Like, it sounds like you have no technology building experience. Is that someone? Would you hire someone to look at code? Would you hire someone to do diligence on the product when you're looking at a deal?
Right. So I mean, so code. Luckily, one of my sons is a coder.
Oh wow, great.
So I built in right there, and it's built in for me.
Yeah.
So as I say, I mean, I have a network, whether it's built in with family wise or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I've been kind of lucky in terms of just family uh, situation to have people who are surrounded by a lot of different skill sets and people. I family who are in the medical field. I family and just a lot of family in a lot of different places. It's just that in itself. So generally speaking, I'm pretty surrounded by uh, people that can help me, you know, in everything. And when necessary, I can go find if it's something that I'm really interested in, then I'll go find somebody that can help me with anything in particular that I need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So going back to, I think I cut you off a little bit earlier. Going back to your process from the time you meet a founder to the time you write a check, you said you have an initial meeting, comes in various forms. The sourcing aspect comes through various channels, but you have your initial meeting, and then you start your formal diligence process, and you're using your external network to vet a deal, and leveraging experts within the particular market with which the company is operating in. What happens from there once you have enough diligence information? Let's say, just in this example, that the numbers check out more or less. The team is like formidable. Maybe it's not something where you're super convicted of like, yeah, I know this person's going to be the next Elon Musk. But the team is formidable. The founder's formidable. Market size looks pretty good. Um, Essentially, all the boxes are checked. Where do you go from there, and how do you actually parse through decisioning one quality investment versus another?
Yeah. So I'm one for process. So I mean, I generally take more of my time than usual. And that actually tells me a lot right there, based on the entrepreneur. Um, because what's interesting is entrepreneurs are people who want to go, 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 go. Um, and if an entrepreneur wants to work with you, and I use that process to really get to understand who the entrepreneur is and what they are and how they're like. Because the one thing with entrepreneurs, they want to knock down those walls. They also have to know how to work with people. And I take this process, see how good are they at working with people, and how good are they at being mentors with people, how good are they at being of interacting with people, because that's all what they have to be doing at the same time. Um, and it's very telling in a lot of ways. What's their level of their ability to work in process? Because they're going, as you're going through this process, they're going through all the business stuff, all the stresses of raising money, all the other stresses that are around an entrepreneur, and I kind of utilize this process. They're all this rush, 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 rush. I generally don't take that as a good sign. I know they want to wrap things up, but I want them to respect the process as well. And so I utilize all these, what I call tells,
Mm.
um, and see how they are. It's called what I call, they're being battle tested, and see, how are they under battle, and is the process making them stressed?
Yeah.
Are they getting weary? Are they is it getting to them, or are they still always the same every day? I mean, all this are data points that you then utilize to see, okay, how is this process working with them? So I'm very purposeful in doing this,
Mm.
just to check out. You know, I may have actually made my decision much earlier.
Yeah.
I
Right.
may just let the process play out, just because I want to see how are they. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very a lot of it, it's kind of game theory stuff, and I don't know if people want to get into game theory, but you've got to really learn. So much of people running a company and having to do this, it's such a stressful situation that you've got to understand how people react under stress and how they're going to perform under stress, how do they deal with stress, um, how capable are they under stress, so watching that ebb and flow over a period of time, there's only one way you're going to know how they can do it, and that's you have to watch it over
Mhm.
a period of time.
Mhm. So let me ask you this, and maybe this gets into a little bit of the game theory that you were mentioning. But is the process that you're referring to, is it more to disqualify a potential investment, because you see certain tells and you know, like, oh, this person gets very stressed out when I'm asking them for a pretty reasonable task. Probably going to be very difficult for this person to deal with the stressors of running a 100-person team if this business grows at scale the way it should. Or is it, I need to see something that excites me through this process? Is it more like risk mitigation, or is it more, I'm still evaluating this company and I need to see certain things along the way for me to write the check?
So for me, it's usually more risk mitigation. I
Yeah.
usually wouldn't start going down the road unless I'm excited, and I try to knock things out quickly. So I'm only going down the road once I'm already there. So everything else is usually now I want to. It's all now testing once I'm already going down the road, because I don't have enough time. It's just my wife and I, so we don't have the time to take to do to with too much of that. So there's only so much time to do this. So we make a decision, and it's somebody we now want to go down the road with. It's more now. Okay, now this is more the testing, the phase of people where if it's somebody we're not excited about, there's nothing's going to change our mind to say that they're going to get themselves opted in. If we're on the fence, just there's so many opportunities out there, that we just would wait for our next at bat, so to speak.
Mm.
Something just better to come along. Just wait for the better pitch, to use the sports analogy, as opposed to just swinging at that pitch, and waiting to see that waiting to see if that third ball just gets a little bit better into the strike zone,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so to say.
Yeah. So are you in the camp? I think I know where you stand on this, but are you in the camp that team is the most important thing for an early stage startup, or idea and market is the most important thing?
Um, so so sorry, I have kind of a funny-ish joke-ish. I'm not sure how well it's going to play, so I'm probably going to avoid it for right now. But it just came back to me, so I a laugh. Uh, so I mean, by far and away, team is um, the most important thing, there is. So I mean, and there are three things that I generally say to evaluate is team, timing, and the idea. Um, you can put those letters in any order you would like, and I'll let everybody else figure out whatever order they prefer, and figure out the joke from there. Um, so there you go. Got a smile. Uh, so yeah, but it's not you, the reason is that so it's the timing, so the team, the timing, the idea,
Hmm.
but it's not in that real order though. But
Yeah.
so but it's very interesting when you'll get to timing, and that's a very interesting point, that I really wanted to get to be serious. Um, so think about a couple of ideas that have come out in the past. that if they come out at a different point in time in the trajectory, in the arc of history, in the short history of the, of the venture capital world, don't work. The two that I like to use are the Palm Pilot and Uber. So if you think of Uber, it comes out when it does in 2008, 9, 2010-ish. If you remember, I don't know, Nick, if you do, but how much of a drain on your battery it was on your phone.
Yeah.
It was a substantial drain.
Yeah.
So now imagine if phone battery technology does not advance the way it does, that where phones are, batteries become substantially better. Imagine if battery technology stays the way it does. Does Uber advance the way Uber does if phone battery technology does not advance? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
So timing makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Timing happened to hit right for Uber because technology worked at its advantage. Palm Pilot, same thing. Palm Pilot, the other way around. Palm Pilot came out in the 90s. Well, Palm Pilot was really the early version of the tablet, in essence. Well, it was too early. The tablet came, when it was redone and called the tablet, the iPad.
Yeah.
It worked fabulously, but it came out, 10 years early. The world wasn't ready for it yet. Technology wasn't ready for it yet. It wasn't, the technology wasn't really perfected yet for what the Palm Pilot was, the promise of the Palm Pilot, but it was ready for the promise of the iPad. So there you have two things of where timing matters, and timing matters a lot. So that's why I say you have to look at the idea and timing. So the idea of the Palm Pilot, the idea of Uber, and the timing of them play into things, and that's what you as an investor have to consider as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's this idea and timing? Do they work for the times and the technology that are available and potentially available in the next foreseeable future? Are they going to be able to work for that idea?
Right.
And can this team make it happen?
Right. Yeah. I mean, timing's interesting. I mean, I think another way to say, to assess timing is like, a lot of people refer to it as luck, right? A lot of, a lot of the external factors that you mentioned with, timing of the Palm Pilot versus, Uber coming out in the era where batteries were improving pretty regularly and you actually could start using the app on a frequent basis. Like otherwise, like your phone's dead. So to your point, like, do they grow and retain the market, capture the market share that they do? If it kills your phone every time you download the app, probably not, right? But yeah, I find it interesting that another word that investors use to capture timing is luck. And I guess my question on that segue is, how do you assess timing, right? Because a lot of it is stuff that's so, I mean, you're looking at future technology builds and the likelihood that technology will increase at a certain pace, and it's a prediction, right? Is there a way to mitigate the timing risk and know whether or not a technology product has a real chance at capturing the market and growing within the market?
Right. Well, and that's the case. I mean, so you have to. So if you're doing the due diligence on Uber in 2008, 2009, you have to ask the question. Well, this is sucking up your battery, but so if my battery's at 50% and I need to use Uber, let's say 30%, I'm at a restaurant. By the time my battery's dead, I probably can't even use it. So what good does it do? But if you're interviewing them, if you're interviewing Travis or Garrett to make an investment, and you say, well, where's battery life going to be in 5 years? And he said, well, we've done this research, and from what we understand, we see that battery life is going to be, it's at X today, but it's going to be at Y 5 years from now, and here's the proof for it, and they've already done that research, and they can show you because they've done it, and then so now you So now you've gotten 2 proof points, right? Number one, you have a team that's already thought about this. Number two, they can show you the data. And then number three, you can go validate that data. Well, you've now got a team that's impressed you, that they've already been thinking about this themselves, that they've already done that they've done the work, and that they should. So all those now become proof points for you as an investor to say, wow, not only did I didn't have to point this out to them. They know that they've already thought about this themselves. They've already done the research themselves. They're on top of this stuff. And you now use all that as proof points to say, wow, okay, these aren't dumb people. They're thinking it all through. And now, so that's all. So that's how you use the timing of the idea to push back on the entrepreneur to see if they really understand their business. And then not only do they understand it, what are they doing to mitigate the risks of the timing to see how on top of it they are. And what research they've done, and what how on what are they doing about it? What can they point you to, and all that, and how can they impress you? And if they impress you on that, then again you're like, wow, it makes you want to further put a bet on them because they're showing you stuff.
Sure. So it sounds like one way you assess that is checking an entrepreneur's ability to get ahead of the things that are really important to their business succeeding, right? So in the Uber example, if they come to you in their pitch in your first, second, third meeting, and they get out ahead of it before you even ask the question, that's like extremely impressive because they know their business well. They know where the market's trending. They know the future stepping stones that have to be reached in order for them to actually capture the market share that they're claiming they can, right? So I think that's a super interesting element. So we have about a little over 10 minutes left, and I have more questions for you, but I do want to open it up to the audience. So if anyone listening in has any questions for Asher, please feel free to put them in the Q&A or the chat. You can also raise your hand, and if you'd like to verbally ask a question, I can unmute you. So definitely want to open it up to the group. Send the questions in, and in the meantime, I'll continue my interrogating. So let's skip around to kind of some fundamental getting started questions. Like, so if you're advising, if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm Asher, I'm interested in getting into angel investing," what are the best practices that you're going to refer them to in terms of them learning, in terms of them going out and actually, before they write their first check, what are the things they need to have covered?
Well, my first thing would be I tell them to read some books. I mean, first and foremost, read books about anything they can find on angel investing, whatever's kind of out there. I mean, one book comes to mind is a book called Angel. I know by Jason Calacanis. I'm sure there are a few other books out there as well on angel investing. So I'd go find whatever books you can on the topic and read those first and foremost. If you're going to go on there and want some angel investing, learn that. I mean, like any other topic you're going to do, if it's something you haven't done before, do the research. Do some learning, do some reading up on it. Read some blogs on angel investing out as well. I'm sure there are blogs out there that talk about angel investing. Even if it's not on angel investing, read some blogs from venture capitalists as well, which a lot of them touch on angel investing. There's some old blogs out there by Brad Feld. A lot of them talk about the angel investing from the 2007 era that are still up there. So you can go back to those as well. A lot of that stuff out there from Andreessen and Horowitz and things like that. So a lot of stuff out there on the internet that's just on it. And from the first major recession we had. Interesting, a lot of great companies born out of recession, sadly. So hopefully this one won't be any different.
Sure. Okay, we have a question from Connell. What is your most productive deal source? demo days, angel list, friends, other angels, angel groups? Where are you getting most of your deals?
Um, so, your most productive source is always referrals. Um, as you get going, it always becomes your best source as time goes on. So Nick, I think you would find that you're saying, I'm going to guess, I don't want to speak for you, but generally what gets referred to from your network becomes your best
Mm-hmm.
source of good deals. I mean, as if you're new to this, another thing I would suggest is you can join syndicates through like AngelList just to get
Yeah.
people started. Is probably a good way to go. Get to know different things, or if there's some private groups you can go to that people have things going out there. But that's a way to start, and where you can write smaller checks in that, and start getting your toe in the water just to learn the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I think I would say the same thing for us. I mean, we're certainly not. I think our business is probably a little bit different than typical angel investing business. We have an internal incubator that is probably somewhat relevant to this discussion. So that actually ends up being our main source of deal flow, because we target such a specific sector, that we get referred a lot of pre-seed deals. We're seed investors, but we get a lot of pre-seed deals who join the incubator, and they come to us. We hardly do any marketing for it. They come to us through our network, because our network knows, like, hey, if you're a pre-seed startup, like, you need to go join Shadow. Like, they know the market and they're going to teach you these things, blah, blah, blah. So for us, it's been, yeah, we either get sent seed deals through our network, or pre-seed companies come to us before we're interested, and they start building a relationship with us through the incubator. Is kind of where it comes from us. But yeah, no, that's a great answer. Okay, we'll wait for any more questions. So one of my questions was, what would you, when you started angel investing, what advice would you go back and give to your former self about how to evaluate deals? Would you make a lot of changes in your investment thesis and in your investment strategy from when you first started?
Um, I probably would have started a little bit. It's hard to say. I mean, um, in terms of the way I evaluated deals, no. Um, uh, I may not have started out with doing as many deals early on as I did. Um, in some sense, not that anything bad or anything, but um, uh, I, I'd say the one thing that my wife and I didn't think about as strongly back when we started this, or miscalculated on, was that the follow-on aspect of all this. Of course, we were expecting a lot less to be surviving, so there was also a miscalculation. Um, that's kind of changed the ability, at this point, to start doing newer deals. So uh, we're in part of our thesis goes continuing with the follow-ons, but when you start doing the math on all this, a lot where you make a good amount of money. So you certainly know the team at that point, you know the business, and as a team scaling and doing well, it's easy to rate those follow-on checks at that point. So until evaluations get too astronomical, and then it doesn't make any sense. But
Let me ask you this: do you think it makes sense for an average angel investor to do follow-on investing?
I think to a certain degree, to a certain valuation, yes. Once the valuations get to a certain point, no.
Mm-hmm.
Where that number is, I can't tell you. Everyone has to kind of think, really make that calculation for themselves. Um, and that's because each company is different. So, and you have to kind of think where can that company scale to and get to. But you know, I certainly, but I would say, that being said, I'd say it'd be very hard for me to suggest that, except for very few exceptions, any follow-on that's value over $1 billion would be worth doing as an angel investor.
Yeah.
That just, sure, when someone said, well, when Uber at $1 billion doing that follow-on, and we're going up to 43 billion, still until 43x. Well, okay, well, but always exceptions. But I mean, generally speaking, I think, once you're certainly getting into the billions, it certainly doesn't make any sense as a general rule.
Yeah, I think I generally would agree. I think it's a different game at that point, right? When you start, that's not. I would say that's a different asset class versus traditional angel investing, right? So
right, that's not angel invest. But that being said, the only reason you may be able to invest there is because you may already have pro rata rights.
Sure,
you're getting it because they're obligated to give it to you, and you kind of like, wow, like I'm investing along, and all of a sudden you're investing alongside SoftBank and investors you've never dreamt in your wild dreams you'd ever be able to invest alongside, and you're like, it becomes a different, you're in a different, you feel like you're in a different league. So you say, wow, and since I'm allowed to, why not? But should you? Probably not.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, I don't see any other questions. I'll leave you with this parting question. What is your favorite non-business book? So we talked a lot about business. What's your favorite non-business book?
My favorite non-business book. Let's see, I have a lot, so it's hard to say which one is my favorite. That's
just one.
But I'm going to, well, since we named one of my son's middle name is Atticus. I guess hopefully you'll figure out what the name of the book would be. But if not, then that would be To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah. So, great choice.
So we'll go with that one, since that is my youngest son's middle name.
Did you read Harper Lee's latest release?
Didn't read that one though. No. Given I still, especially at the time, was still unsure as to its true progeny, and I still haven't quite. I don't have a 100%, definitive. Maybe 99% sure, but I'm not 100% sure as to it's pure, as to that Harper Lee is one progeny there. I am
skeptical.
That's still There's always which you have to be within as an investor. So until they and I can't do diligence because it's just not worth it for me to do. So until I can have 100% surety in that, it's just I figure I'll wait until there's there are too many other things to do, and if it's 100% then sure, but if not, then I had better things to do, so I might as well wait.
All right, well, great. Well, we are out of time. Thank you to everyone who came out. I hope this was an enjoyable conversation. Asher, I really enjoyed it. Thank you for taking time out of your morning on the West Coast. I know it's an early morning for you. So
thank you very much.
This was great. Just so everyone knows too, we're going to republish this. So if you wanted to, catch any parts that you might have missed, share with anyone in your network, we'll have it in audio form as well as video on the Shadow Venture site. So again, thank you so much. And look forward to continuing to see you in the Investor Channel, Asher.
Yep. And everybody stay safe.
Stay safe. Absolutely. All right.
Take care. Thank you.
See ya.